All right, guys, so in this video here, we're gonna be talking about fear, okay? And we're gonna be talking about what it stands for, okay? False expectations appearing real. And I got this from a documentary that I watched about a really savage being. Some of you guys might know him. If you don't know him, you can YouTube him. He's a mega savage. His name is Dan Pena. And there was a documentary and talking about, his life and the seminar that he runs. And he talks about fear being false expectations appearing real. Okay, so let's think about this. When's the last time you felt scared? You know, that you legitimately felt scared about something. Most of it is actually just complete bullshit, if you think about it. Like, most of it is just completely fabricated inside your own mind, right? So the number one fear, not many people might know this, but the number one fear of humans, this is even before death, okay? Humans fear this more than dying, on average. Like, the number one fear is public speaking. Isn't that insane? People fear public speaking more than death. You can Google it. It is ranked number one, higher than the fear of death or animals or creatures or whatever. Public speaking is it, number one, okay? And it's completely a fabricated piece of nonsense, to be honest, because our brains are being tricked, right? And, I was reading about this a couple years back, I remember, and the fear is basically, it's based on like history where, people don't want to be like left out of a crowd or I think the word is ostracized. They don't want to be ostracized, which means like, you do like a public speaking thing and then people lose respect for you or they don't like you anymore. And that's that. Like, it's like this primal fear that we have, but it's really just ourselves projecting into the future. We're projecting into the future thinking that, this fear is going to be something that's going to be debilitating. Like, it's going to crush us. Like, if we're public speaking and something goes wrong, you stumble on your words, ooh, you're going to die, And it seems so real though. And let's talk about like heights and whatever else, because heights is like kind of an irrational fear too. Like, it's more rational because you could actually die from heights. So it's more rational. There's more rational fears and then there's more irrational fears, right? Some irrational fears, which would be false expectations appearing real, or for example, a fear of let's say approaching a girl that's walking down the street. You have a fear of getting rejected by her. What's gonna happen? We're scared of this, and public speaking is another just a bullshit fear, I like to call it. It's just not. There's nothing real about it. Right? Because if you public speak and everything goes to shit and it's the worst thing ever, you're not gonna die. Nothing, there's no real consequences there, But thousands of years ago, the consequences would be you might be ostracized and left out of a certain, social group or whatever it may be. And that's why we fear it. But most things that we fear, you'll notice that your fear is strongest before the actual event that you're fearing, okay? So let's say, for example, I'll just use a random example, like a roller coaster, okay? That's something that I'm actually afraid of. I'm afraid of heights. So, getting on a roller coaster that goes crazy, and I used to do it when I was a kid all the time. I would go on a roller coaster and it wouldn't be a problem, but I don't know, as I grew older, I got a little bit more fearful about random roller coasters, which is really weird, I know. And so your fear is worst when you're anticipating it, okay? When you're actually on the roller coaster or when you're actually doing the thing that you're terrified of, you're in the midst of it, it's actually not that bad. It's the the minutes or the hours or the days before you do this that really just amp up your fear, because you're making it such a big deal in your mind. We make it such a big deal. For example, I'll give you a quick example. when I first started doing improv, like 2.5, 3 years ago, I remember I hired a public speaking coach, one-on-one public speaking coach, and I was practicing some public speaking presentations with him, because I told him, like, I wanted to, create a YouTube channel. I wanted to, be in a place where I can comfortably public speak and have no problem with it. And he was like, you need to associate fun with public speaking. So join an improv class. It's something I never even thought about. He's like, join an improv class. And I reluctantly said, okay. It was the scariest thing I could ever think of. It was terrifying for me, like, to join an improv class where you just, like, you're put on the spot, go be funny, like, do something funny. Like, it's very pressure inducing, right? So I remember the first improv class I went to, I was terrified. I was fucking terrified. I was so scared. I remember, because, like, I built it up in my head, like, for, like, literally a week before the class started. I was like, oh shit, I'm gonna be put on the spot. I'm gonna have to, be forced to be funny. And, like, it was so scary. And I remember I went through it and I felt so much adrenaline and so much excitement. It was good, it was fun, right? But then after I was done with the class, every single week, I remember I was dreading it. I would have such a hard time falling asleep the night before or 2 nights before the class. I had such a hard time falling asleep, because I was like, shit, I have to go to this improv class. And the moral of the story is, the fear was basically just the anticipation. I mean, once I was in the class, the fear was still there, obviously. Like, you have that anxiety, that fear, because it's something so, for the normal human, like, it's something so anxiety inducing. And it's just, not a lot of people can do that and feel comfortable with that. Like, it's the ultimate, I would call it myself, I would literally call it the ultimate version of self-development, because you learn so much about yourself. Like, you get in there and you face your fears, and you just learn to be okay and comfortable with being in a very high pressure situation, especially when you're performing in front of, lots of people that are expecting you to be somewhat funny or whatever. It's extremely high pressure, okay? Because you don't know, there's no script. You have no idea what you're gonna do. So it's an extremely high pressure situation. But what happens when you put yourself into those situations and you kind of go towards your fears, eventually what you find is that you're not so scared of them anymore. See, I don't know exactly where the turning point came for me, but, like, 5, 6 months in, the fear just kind of turns into excitement and adrenaline, let's call it. You start to kind of see the fun in it, and then you start to also not overthink it or take it too seriously. You're just like, you're kind of just flowing with it, and yeah, you just flow in a way where it's just, you get used to it, and once you get used to it, you get more familiar with it, it's not so scary anymore, right? And so the whole point is, of false expectations appearing real. What was happening is, when I first started the improv classes, as an example, I would imagine things going terrible. Like, I'm in the middle of a scene and I have nothing to say, and, like, in my mind, this was like, one of the worst things that can possibly happen. But what's funny is that, like, in my first like 3, 4, 5, 6 months in improv, there was, at least 3 or 4 scenes where I was in front of, the class, or, doing something with a partner, like doing a scene with a partner, and I froze up. Like, I didn't have anything to say. And some of you guys might be having a heart attack right now. Like, oh my God, no way, like, that would be terrible. And so what you learn is, the first couple of times you do it, you're just like, you feel bad about it and, like, this and that. But what you learn is that it's completely okay. Like, everyone has those moments. Like, I saw everybody in my class have those moments where you're like, you literally have nothing, like, you're just like, you're frozen up. And what happens is the teacher kind of holds you there. You're frozen up in front of the class. You have nothing more to say. You have nothing else that's funny or whatever it may be. And you just sit in that moment, bam. You sit in that tension. in that tension where you're just like, you don't know what to do or what to say. And the first couple of times it's very uncomfortable because like you feel like you're being judged, like this person is judging me, that person is judging me, this and that. And people are always going to be judging you no matter what, okay? You're going to be judged no matter what. You have to be okay with accepting that and putting yourself out there and accepting that kind of judgment, right? But yeah, so anytime you're scared of something, just ask yourself, is it a real fear? Because some of the things we're scared of are not real. Some of them are real. If you got a tiger over here and this tiger's about to bite your face off, you should be scared of that, right? But for example, if you're, in an airplane or something like that, you shouldn't be scared of that. Like heights should not be something you're scared of. Or public speaking, you cannot die, you cannot get hurt. There's nothing to actually fear there, right? You can't die, you can't get hurt. Airplane, same thing. Like, I mean, obviously you can die in an airplane, but I remember going to a comedy show in New York, I want to say like almost 10 years ago, and the guy was making fun of people like being scared of planes. Because he's like, you have a higher chance of getting killed, walking on a sidewalk than you do in a plane. Like the stats are there. Like anything, driving a car, like riding a bicycle, you have a higher chance of dying doing any of those things that seem very simple and you're never scared of, as compared to dying on a plane. But we're scared of planes. It's so high in the air, but it's an irrational fear. There's nothing real about it. You should be scared of tigers. You should be scared of somebody that's holding a gun to you. There's certain things that you are going to be afraid of, and that fear is real. But this video is about understanding what's real about fear and then what's not. What's your brain tricking you, playing tricks on you. And there's so much more than you think with this. Your brain plays so many games with you. Like that's what is just in us for it's just part of our brain. Like it's just going to try to trick you in any way that it can, and it's your job to be like, hey, no, that this is a bullshit fear, okay? You can intervene and realize that this is a bullshit fear, and then go towards that and do more of that thing that you're scared of. The more you do of it, the more comfortable, you're gonna get with it, and it's easier said than done. And it's also that you don't have to do this with all your fears, just the ones that you feel are holding you back on a day-to-day basis. For example, I'm not going to, cockroaches can't really hurt you, okay? If there's like a massive, I'm talking about a massive cockroach, like here to here, these cockroaches are not gonna hurt you. But a lot of us will be scared if this cockroach was like crawling up and down our bodies and like inside of our beards and our hair and shit. We're gonna be scared a little bit. But that fear, you could attack that fear and like just go forward with it, but it doesn't really do anything positive for your life. Like, for example, like as compared to attacking a fear of public speaking or a fear of heights or something like that. Or like a social anxiety kind of fear or something like that, or talking to the opposite sex, like when you see them, those kind of fears are just not real. They're complete bullshit, all right? And I hope you guys got something from this video. Hopefully it wasn't too confusing. And if you got something you're scared of, drop it in the comments. I'm curious to hear. And if you guys want to, start a discussion about anything, obviously, like I said, I'm still answering every single comment. And I'm still going to be posting once every 2 weeks. And eventually, I think with this channel, I'm going to start posting more at some point. I'm not entirely sure yet which direction I'm going to go. But I'm going to be posting at least once every 2 weeks, and then we'll see where it goes from there. If you guys have any suggestions for like an upcoming video that you want me to make, drop it in the comments of any of my videos, and I'll definitely get to it. There was a video, 32 things I learned in 32 years. That was from a comment. So if you guys want me to make something specific, just drop it here or drop a comment on any of the videos, and I'll make a topic based on that. And yeah, until next time, guys, take care.